Peace and blessings, family. The weather here is acting okay. Now, you're probably wondering, Cheryl, why are you putting a title such as that? But I would be remiss not to share this. Now, I want you to see something, okay? I'm standing in front of this tree right here. You see it? Now I want you to take note at that branch. See that branch? See it? You do see it, right? Pretty long branch. Goes into the ravine. But it's a lot of weight. But it is no more. Now, there's a reason for why I'm going to share this. Because for some who have been following me, you can hear the boys background acting a fool because they hear me in the background. They know I'm outside and they want to be out here too. They want to be out. And I don't feel like doing that right now because they were just out and there's nothing wrong with them. They're just acting amok. But I wanted to show this tree because this tree, I'll do it from a distance, is very symbolic. And this tree should be a reference and apply to you too, because it does. You're saying to yourself, what do you mean, Gerald? How can an ordinary tree have significance in my life? Quite simple. That's a representation of your lineage. That's a representation of your legacy. It's a representation of your journey. Now, we're about a stone's throw, and spring will be here. Spring will be here. And how it felt like just yesterday we ushered in this year. 2019, fam. 2019. Have you taken the time to look at how much movement you've done, how much change has come, how many reflective positions and validations that have come thus far? Have you done that yet? Now, I know you may be in a season where it's all about mastering your and measuring your steps. That's okay. That's okay because that's part of the responsibility of being who you are. It's okay. But just get situated. For those who have been following me for a brief moment, and you have heard some of my videos, especially over the holiday seasons, you know that I had to deal with the constant reminders of mortality. Just this week, just even this week, I had someone that I worked with Found out Wednesday they no longer exist. Matter of fact, as of tomorrow at 3 o'clock, they're having their service. But see, not to make a light situation out of mortality, but it's always been echoed no matter where you are. There are two things that you cannot escape being on this planet: taxes and death. So let's go back to the symbolism of that tree. So now, February the 15th. And by the way, not to be remiss, I hope that yesterday was a pleasant day. It should be a validation of who you are. Devil don't want me to put this out. But I remember last year, and as long as I've been where I reside, um, I've watched that tree do things that I thought I never would ever imagine in my life. Because when you look at it, it looks like an oak tree. It looks like an oak tree to me. But then it started blooming flowers. And then at first I thought, well, maybe that tree is really a dogwood tree and it's just what it is. But it wasn't a dogwood tree. And for those who have a spiritual foundation to some degree, because we'll never understand, we will never fully grasp everything because it's part of our journey. I watched as the seasons come and the flowers were everywhere on that tree. All of a sudden, they turned golden on me. I mean, in time, that is. But it literally turned golden. I was blown away. And then in November, we had went through, I don't want to say it was a northeastern, but this area um, on the East Coast, we got hit with a lot of torrential windstorms. Some were tornadoes. Some you just couldn't figure it out. You just had to ride it through. And then one day, as this was going on and on, I happened to walk out in the backyard, and Lord behold, there was that branch, and that branch was snapped in two. I was totally blown away because normally when you see the magnitude of wind and there's a down tree, it might be a pine tree. And it's usually because it's the roots of that pine tree cannot deal with the force. And something must give. And you see a lot of times, especially shout out to those down south. You know what I'm talking about. When them storms come, them pine trees fall. And that is just what it is. But this go around, I was really, really shocked. Simply because I never thought that I would see a healthy tree subside, give way. And what was so baffling about that experience was I had to I had to come to grips that it was the trees that dealt with the force. and not where I laid my head. Did you get that? All this going on around where I call home. But yet, nothing. No damage to the house. No nothing. So what is the point you're trying to make, Gerald? That next day, when I went out to survey exactly what occurred, I happened to look along that fence line, and I saw a couple yards down, meaning houses, backyards, there were a little bit of branches broken here and there, but nothing to the magnitude of what was going on behind my fence. And then I thought about it. If the wind did not blow the way it did, it would have took down my fence. It would have took out my shed. It could have damaged my house where I reside. But I was spared. I was spared of that. And I was grateful for it. But it wouldn't be until after my significant other had to deal with the loss of her father, where the message hit home. See, that tree, y'all. Let me give you a little backstory. See, every relationship that has significance, there is something that you hold dear that will be a symbol of that relationship. From a small trinket to a word. Well, for my significant other and myself, our symbolization was the tree. That's why we've got little mementos in the shape of a tree. Some of y'all who have been on my channel, and y'all think back to my early videos that I put out when I was living in my apartment and when it was just Tyson and I. And y'all remember I used to wear this t-shirt. I know you're like, you wear t-shirts all the time, Gerald. That's what you wear. But remember I had this one t-shirt and there was a tree on it with a yin yang symbol on it. Yeah, y'all remember that, right? I still got that shirt. It's floating around in the closet. It's floating around either in my closet or it's in one of my drawers folded away. But it wouldn't be until this past December that I saw the importance of that symbolization. Here's my point. What hit home for me was no matter what was going on outside your life, indirectly, as long as your roots, your foundation is firm, you will be able to withstand it. You will be able to make it through. And that was what hit home, because the fact that I remember attending the wake and meeting her extended family, both by blood and by community. And I'm taking in that moment as I looked down upon her father. I'll be honest with you. I never thought that I would be in a position to witness that so soon. Think about it. I'm grateful for the conversations I had. I'm grateful for the rapport he and I shared. I'm grateful for the times that we bonded. I will forever treasure that time. So when I came home from that, and y'all remember, I told you while I was going there, got into an accident. It was a test. It was a test going, and there was a test coming back. The Jeep was fine. My Jeep was fine. Matter of fact, for y'all, like you always talk about your Jeep. My Jeep is right here. I'm a real Jeep guy. I don't play. This is real. But on a different note, I've already decided on the beginning of the year I'm gonna go ahead and buy me a truck. Matter of fact, I'm looking at that 2020 HD because it's time and I need it. But I kept finding myself gravitating toward that tree. Every time I would take the boys out, let them use their business, do their thing, let them romp around in the backyard, I kept gravitating towards that tree. And then it hit me. What I was being sent by symbology through synchronicity, the Most High was telling me, and I even believe her father was saying, the foundation is already there. Even though I'm not present in physical form, the roots that have been placed are strong, no matter how fertile the ground may be. And so yesterday, as I was walking in the backyard, I found myself going to that fence line, looking at that tree, and I noticed that there were buds coming off each branch, each stem. Already, there are going to be flowers coming off that thing. But no matter what I realized was the message that was being instilled was those branches are extensions of the work he put in. And the testimony that was being shared at the wake. You would have thought they were talking about an angel. You would have thought of that. And that was the thing that really hit home for me, because it was like, you know, there was a whole lot of love in that room. And everybody said the same thing. And everybody came from all over when they heard it was his time to go home. And that love that he gave was the love that was received tenfold. So here's a simplistic form to somebody, because I know it might be somebody that say, well, Gerald, you know what? I hear what you're saying, but I don't have a spiritual connection right now in my life. That's not part of my walk right now. And guess what? If and when it's time, it can't be avoided. That means you may have to be shown through positive or by challenge how unique your life is, how the importance of your essence. Really is. This is something that cannot be bought. This is something that cannot be just shellacked because it sounds like that's the right thing to do at that moment. No, real recognizes real all day. So, no matter where I go, I'm going to forever remember that tree. Because that tree is really a symbolization of yourself. So, how's your week going? Hopefully, it is peaceful. Hopefully, you have decided that, you know what? I've outgrown this situation. And I'm okay starting anew. Even if that means you got to take the road less challenged, take the road less pursued. That is part of your growth. You do understand, family, you don't need anybody's permission to be you. You don't. Who told you that? Because if you turn around and cave in off of the whims of society, whose life are you living? Whose standards are you trying to uphold? And does it surprise you what is being shown? Because at the end of the day, it is about one thing: choice. Make that number one choice be your happiness, your serenity, your transparency, your unconditional commitment to yourself. Because if you decide to do it you do it today, or if you've already done it, guess what's going to happen? All the things that were not yours, all the things that did not support you, all the things that were nothing but distractions the whole time, they will be revealed, and they got to get out of your way. Who am I talking to? Why are you turning around worrying about how they feel about your progression? Now, this is going to shake the tree for some people because they're going to be on their feelings. They're going to be in their feelings because they want you to stay where you're at. They want you to stay there. Why? Because they see the benefit of you being non-mobile. They love that because they know that as long as you decide not to claim what you're doing, that's an advantage for them. Now, I gotta put this out because I got a little bit of blowback because people didn't like the message that I was talking about in regards to yesterday. So let me clarify this for those who did not understand what I was saying. There is 365 days in a year. You physically use 8 hours out of that 24 hours, which gives you 16 hours in which 8 is probably you're working and 8 is for your leisure. But let's look at it realistically too. Because some have to give up that 16 hours because of the requirements that are found in your life for other people. And that's not a bad thing if it comes from a good place. But what usually happens a lot of times is you have people that will give that 16 hours up for nothing. Nothing. You see it all the time. People they in their vehicles just driving around with a care in the world. Ain't got nowhere to go but trying to find somewhere to be. And you see it. You see it. They wear their emotions on their sleeves, but they want to project so that you can claim. Why? Why? Why are you doing that? So my message for Valentine's Day was to be mindful to not get caught up in the machine that is financially done. Now, because it's 364 days in a year, 365, excuse me. If you are in a committed relationship where there's respect and the same energy given out is the same energy received, guess what? One day ain't gonna hurt you because you represent. You doing what you're supposed to do. See, the problem I have is when people try to turn around and cram everything that they've tried to do in 24 hours and think that that's going to give them a pass for the things that they lack a 364. What I'm trying to say is there's more to you than one day. But the caveat is the price paid is the investment of being there, being involved, being committed, being dedicated. Yeah, there are going to be some times where you don't hear thank you. There are going to be some times where you're going to be scratching your head of how did I get here? But it is your devotion that keeps you there. I know somebody's saying, you better listen to what he's saying. He talking about you. He looking at you like, you need to take notes. But what I'm trying to say to you is this. Just as the cliche, Rome was not built in a day. Why are you running to, why are you putting so much time in something that can't stand on its own? When you deserve such more, you deserve far more than what you got. That's all I'm saying. And if this is the moment where you're by yourself, let me tell you something too. Because this is something maybe the people that are in relationships secretly wrestle with or won't have courage to tell you. This is the moments, those are the moments that you treasure the most. That is the time where you put the work in. Because all that you experience, your insight, your wisdom, those are the tools that you carry in that relationship. But it starts when you have a relationship with yourself first. Hello, who am I talking to? You realize how many people turned around and said, well, you know what, I got you. You know I'm getting my taxes. The best things in life is done for free because it comes from the heart. You ever thought about that? Hey, Kings, let me break it down. You getting ready, you went in debt for non-admiration when you could have got all the validation if you did it yourself by putting a little effort into it. That's what they really want. That's why you hear people say love don't cost a thing. Sure it does. Is the cost is time. Maybe if you take less time being on this and actually being there, you're sowing seeds. You ever thought about that? And guess what? If you're in a situation where you are putting that work, you're putting the work in, you're not waiting for the thank yous because it's part of your character, guess what? If you should decide to say thank you, but no thank you, and go on into your life, don't worry. You've already done the work because they remember the good things that you've done. Because the example that will be shown will be more of the same of what they produce. And I don't wish bad on nobody. I don't. But maybe they are the ones that are standing in the way from the people that truly will deserve and treasure every breath that you take. That's for somebody. That's for somebody. Now let's switch page. I want y'all to know something. You can't grow off of fear. You can't progress off of insecurity. The only way you can go forth is you validate where you are. And if you don't like where you're at, you have to take ownership. You have to take ownership because you're there. You're present, which means that gives you the opportunity to change it. Which goes back to what I said before. You don't need nobody's permission to change. You don't need nobody's validation to be yourself, as long as you are being yourself. You don't believe me? Why do you think so many women are insecure today? Why do you think so many women are running around how beautiful they are, even though they get the validation every morning? Doesn't matter what you look like. The most beautiful thing that you could ever possess is your smile. The greatest gift ever given is presence. That's your validation. And don't worry. What was it? What was the song by legendary group LTD? Um, Concentrate on you. What you say? What did Jeffrey Osborne say? Constant dedication equals appreciation. You don't need appreciation if you're doing what you do, and it comes from a good place because you're standing on it. Now, I'm gonna get off of that because I have a feeling somebody woke up feeling insecure, feeling less than, feeling like they ain't good enough. Who lied to you? Don't you realize you are the exception to the rule? Do you? Come on now. Come on now. Look, how many examples do we have to see? There are people that got everything at the snap of their finger and they miserable. They miserable. Because what they really want is truth. And that's why you always hear it in the scripture. Those who are last will be made first, and those who are first will be made last. And what is going on? There's a lot of people that were falsely propped up, but they didn't earn the right to stand. So therefore they won't understand what's going on. And they may feel like, well, I'm being punished. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. You're being prepared. Now let me stop, because I'm looking at this clock. 35 minutes in. Just know you loved. Just know that no one's gonna do your work but you. You know? Nobody. I say this out of love. Listen, if it wasn't meant to be, why do you still have those natural gifts and talents? You can envision it to the letter, but the responsibility is bringing it forth by your hands. Who am I talking to? You said, well, I don't want to work for anybody. I want to work for myself. Take the risk. Maybe that experience, if it doesn't play out, is really preparation for where you really called to be, and you will surpass it. Now, I'm about to shut this down. Make sure you guys pay yourself, but first, take care of them taxes, keep them people off your back, pay it forward so it can grow and come back to you. Maybe it's your rent. Maybe it's them credit cards. Maybe it's those small little bills. Maybe it's time to look at your credit score and say, hey, look here. I want it to go up, so I'm going to go and pull my credit score and I'm going to start disputing this stuff. You'd be surprised what's on these credit reports nowadays, family. Stuff shouldn't even be there, but they have the ability to put it up there to bring your score down. Or maybe this is the moment you're finally comfortable in your own being to say no. Remember, the word no does not mean forever. It means under review. So maybe this is the time you're going to take the cell phone that you got, go through your contacts and ask yourself, do they deserve to invest in me? Do they see my worth? Why do they have a right to be archived in my contacts? You ever thought about that? And like I always say, opportunists don't need your help to expose themselves. But it is your responsibility to know the truth. So I hope you guys had a blessed Valentine's, because you are the Valentine, because you made it love. And as I always close, God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Would love to hear from you. Like all my videos, they're there to be shared. If you might know somebody that it can benefit. Got any questions, concerns, thumb up, thumb down. I just like to know how you're doing. And what does the summer have in store for you? I just hope it has a smile in the beginning, because you're worth it. Be blessed, family.